make it, oh, okay, and then make it crash. So anyways, happy St. Patrick's Day. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, I am wearing green. And my name is Jennifer Peterson. I am from the Small Business Self-Employed. I am the Southwest Area Hiring and Training Coordinator. Now, I started out with the Internal Revenue Service 17 years ago as a revenue agent. And from there, I went into management to my current position now, where I am an analyst for the Small Business Self-Employed Exam Director for Southwest Area. So I learned about federal employment because I grew up in a military family. Both my mom and my dad were in the Army, and my mom, after the Army, worked for the Internal Revenue Service. So kind of a weird family business that I kind of followed in her footsteps. But as a hiring coordinator for such a large area, I cover Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Hawaii. Speaking to the applicants in my area, most of them have learned about federal employment from a family member, or they're veterans, so they're familiar with the federal application process. The application process, it's often a barrier to applicants applying. People don't know where to look, they don't know how to apply, and a lot of that coincides with them preventing them from applying for government positions. So obviously my goal is to kind of break that mold, and I want to make everyone aware, not only on this call, but I want to spread the word about federal jobs and how to apply. And I'm really aiming to take the mystery out of the application process. Having somebody help me with the process was definitely a useful resource. And I want to make sure everybody has kind of the same resource. So if you're interested in a federal job, I want you to have the same resource as I did, as having someone in federal employment help me through the process. So you see my email address on here. I am happy if you email me to answer any questions as you go through the federal application process. So if you write that down, and feel free to reach out to me. I mean, I can't just go and wave a magic wand and hire anyone, just anybody. But what I can do is I can help make sure you avoid the common applicant mistakes and help you understand the process and how to apply for a job. So with that, we'll move on. I'm going to go over the item in bold in USA Jobs. I find that actually going to the site and reviewing it is going to be more helpful, and it's more helpful than me just going over a bunch of PowerPoints. So I'm going to go through this presentation pretty quick so that we can swap over to the actual USA Jobs website. And from there, we can review postings, and I can show you exactly how to apply for a government job. So what does the federal application process look like? First and foremost, before you can apply to any federal job, whether it be the IRS or any other branch of the federal government, you need to create a USA Jobs account. I can tell you that the #1 applicant mistake in applying for federal jobs is not creating this soon enough. So if you haven't and you're interested in federal employment, go onto USA Jobs and make sure that you create that account. From there, you're going to create a USA Jobs profile. And with that profile, you're going to be able to apply to any job that's posted on the website. You'll be able to save jobs. With saving jobs, you can set up email reminders so that if a job is posted or the job is closing, you can get an email. You can save job searches, and again, you can set up notifications so that when new jobs are posted, you can get notifications that those jobs are posted. But most importantly, you can save and you can create a resume and make that resume searchable. Another thing that you should be doing before you're applying to jobs is what makes it easier to apply for jobs is if you upload and save the required documents in your USA Jobs account, so that when you're applying, you can kind of just click the boxes that you want to attach that to your application. And again, we'll go over all of that in the actual USA Jobs website. I will give you how to search for jobs and tips on how to search all government jobs, not just the IRS, although it's in my best interest that you all only apply to the IRS. There are other accounting jobs in other branches of the government, and I'll show you how to discover those and how to also navigate through those job postings. And their job postings are going to be very similar across all the branches. The job announcement is going to give you how to qualify. It'll give you vacancy questions, which are sometimes easier to understand when you're looking through the qualifications. I know that sometimes I'm looking through the qualifications and I stop reading after the third or fourth sentence because I'm thinking in my head, well, I don't qualify for this, so I might as well not read any further. But sometimes there's just a lot of words in there, a lot of fancy words where you actually would qualify. So it's best to look at those vacancy questions. And again, we'll go over those vacancy questions. And finally, the job announcements are going to give you the who, the what, the where, and the when of each job posting. What we're not going to go over in detail are the following, and it's due mainly to time. But if you prepare by applying what you learn above and what we're going to go over in USA Jobs, you'll be in good shape. But after you review the job announcements, of course, you apply by submitting the completed application and the required documents. The instructions on how to apply are pretty comprehensive, and they're in each of the job announcements, so I don't feel you'll need a lot of help with that. From there, the agency is going to review the application, and they're going to determine if you're qualified or you're minimally qualified. And from there, it's going to, your application package is going to go to the selecting official to review. And after the selecting official reviews it, they'll contact you for an interview, and then selections are made. I don't know if any of you on the call have ever applied to a federal, for a federal position. If I could give you one word of advice, it's just to be patient. It takes time. It's a very large, IRS is, in particular, is a very large organization. And from the time that you apply to get contacted for an interview to getting that tentative job offer can sometimes be months in between. So the best tool for you to use in that time in between, and you're not contacted and you're wondering where you are in the application process, is going to be the USA Jobs dashboard. And sometimes tentative job offers go out, and maybe your friend applied and maybe they got a tentative job offer and you didn't get one, so you're thinking you weren't selected. That also is not always the case. As tentative job offers go out, sometimes they'll go out to one location first before they go out to another location. Sometimes we get job offers that are not accepted, so then we're able to send out more tentative job offers. Just be patient. And USA Jobs, it'll indicate in that application if the hiring is complete or if we're still in the process. I just want to go over your resumes really quick, because they are really important in the federal job application process. On top of the vacancy questions, they ask you to attach a resume, and what employment does is they use the resume to qualify your specialized experience if specialized experience is required. Or if you are substituting experience for education, again, we will use your resume to make sure that your resume justifies your responses on those vacancy questions. So make sure when you're preparing your resume, you include the information that is on the slide. I'm not really going to go over all of it, but just make sure, especially the what's really important is the start and end dates. So when you, under the agency, your name, and make sure that on each experience that you put when you started that position and when it ended, because we do use that time to quantify your specialized experience. As far as duties go, make sure that you do put what the duties are and you kind of tailor them to the job that you're applying for. Don't be afraid to use numbers or percentages, and also don't be afraid to only to include volunteer positions. If you got some of your experience through volunteer positions, there is no reason why that couldn't be on your resume. Examples Make sure to include examples of your relevant experience and accomplishments that prove that you can perform the task at the level required for the job. And again, when we go through the job announcements, I'll show you where to look for those qualifications and how to tailor your resume to those qualifications. What I see a lot of applicants do is they shortchange themselves. They don't really realize what they have accomplished in the time they have been in a position. So make sure that you use experience not only from your paid positions. You can think about positions that you've held in college, volunteer positions, volunteer work. Maybe you've done VITA. That's a big one that I know CSUN participates in. Make sure you include that information in your application if you're applying, especially for IRS, because we do look at those and that is specialized experience. You might have gained experience in clubs. Maybe you're a treasurer. Maybe you do something with different accounting clubs or any sorts of clubs. Maybe you've taken workshops or you've done some sort of community outreach, or maybe all the way down to maybe you have a family business that you've helped prepare the books and tax returns on. Don't think outside the box and don't only limit yourself to your paid positions. And again, make sure you tailor your position for the specialized experience of what qualifications that particular position is looking for. For example, let's say that you are a group manager for a team of revenue agents within the IRS. If you're applying for another supervisor job, let's say within the IRS, you can simply start out by saying, I oversee a team of revenue agents and ensure cases are worked timely and accurately. And then from there, you can go down to the specialized experience around running that team and what you've done to ensure those cases are worked timely and accurately. What were your steps? Now, if I was applying, if I had the same supervisor job, but now I'm applying for, let's say, a technical analyst job within the IRS, I would want to say something more along the realms of, I review case files and advise a team of revenue agents on technical aspects of tax law. And then from there, I would go and create my specialized experience around that tax law experience that I've gained as a group manager. So you can see it, although they're both, I'm in the same position and I'm supervise a group of revenue agents, how my experience is, my specialized experience is going to be a little different, and I'm going to write my resume a little differently based on the job that I'm applying for. So on top of building just a regular resume, I also recommend that anybody who wants to apply for a federal job, that you also have just a generic resume. So make a generic resume. It doesn't have to be tailored towards any particular position. And this is the one you're going to make searchable. And again, I'll go into USA Jobs and show you how to make a resume searchable. You can only make one resume searchable at a time. And it's definitely best to use the resume builder tool within USA Jobs to build that particular resume, because sometimes the other formats, if you're uploading one from, let's say, Word or Adobe, sometimes they don't upload properly and they don't work properly within our system, so we're not able to search them correctly. If you build that resume in the resume builder tool in USA Jobs, we will be able to search it and be able to search it accurately. And once you have one up there, it's only going to be searchable for 18 months unless it's renewed. So make sure if you're not graduating or looking for a job within the next 18 months that you go into USA Jobs, keep your account active and renew it if you'd like. On top of making your resume searchable, you can also make your profile searchable. And when you make your resume and your profile searchable, what it does is it lets hiring specialists know in each branch of the government, it makes them able to search and reach out to you to solicit interest in applying for a particular job if they review your resume and they think that you're a good fit for that particular position. Make sure your resume is organized. when resumes are disjointed, there's just the risk of missing or misinterpreting information. And if it's not easy for the reader to kind of scan, they are probably going to miss some of your experience. It's usually recommended to start with your most recent experience. But sometimes if you have had a more relevant job in the past, maybe you want to start with that position. And you're definitely going to want to provide a greater focus and more details on that position that's relevant to the position you're applying for. Another applicant misstep that we see is formatting. So sometimes if when you're formatting, make sure that you keep it consistent. So if you start with paragraphs, don't start using bullets on another position, or vice versa. If you start with bullets, don't start using a paragraph on another position. Use plain language, and most importantly, proofread. Proofread, proofread, proofread. I see a lot of misspellings, a lot of mistakes in resumes, and sometimes if the job is very competitive, that can be the difference between you being extended an opportunity to interview and you not getting an interview. An extra set of eyes is never a bad thing. Having somebody else review your resume, maybe they can identify items that you've missed, that if they're one of your coworkers, or maybe they can help you with formatting. This is just an example resume. And when you build your resume in USA Jobs, it will look very similar to this, because what it'll do is it'll ask you questions and then it'll format it. You'll see that this one uses bullet points to highlight the duties. There is also an option, instead of using the bullet points, to use paragraphs. Here are a few application tips and what to expect. Again, the stuff in bold we're going to be going over directly in USA Jobs. We'll be searching and setting up saved searches, and I will show you how to be notified of the matches. Pay attention to the who may apply section. Again, we'll go over that in detail, and also I'll show you how to search jobs based on your eligibility of who can apply. We'll review the specific education requirements that are in each of the job postings, along with the specialized experience. And we will also, I'll show you where to look for the documents that are required for the application. And it is very important that you upload all the required documents at the time you're applying, because if you do not, it will be an automatic disqualification of the job. I'll show you how to preview the vacancy questions. Again, sometimes these vacancy questions are a lot easier to understand than when you're reading through the job announcement and the qualifications that are in the job announcements, because the vacancy questions basically break down the qualifications step by step. It's really important that you pay attention to those questions, because if you inadvertently answer one of those questions incorrectly, some of them can automatically disqualify you. And again, we'll go over those questions and how to navigate those questions. They'll also ask you about geographic locations that you're interested in. Most of the jobs that IRS offers do not offer relocation assistance. So make sure that you're only applying in the locations where they're within your commuting distance, or you're actually willing to relocate to. And lastly, we'll make sure that you can make your resume searchable so that the public agencies can contact you. So I want to show you this last slide. I'm gonna leave it up here just for a couple seconds. There is also an SBSE recruitment folder. If you have any questions about recruiting, about job announcements, if you're having issues with USA Jobs, this is a mailbox that is monitored every day by our SBSE recruiting employees, and they are very well versed in the application realm. And so if you have any questions when you're applying, I would definitely, whether it be an SBSG job or one of the other branches of IRS, definitely write this down as a resource. And I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and we're actually going to go into USA Jobs. All right. So when you go into USA Jobs, the first step that you are going to do, if you haven't already, is to create that USA Jobs profile. So you can see here in this little screen area that it says view profile, and that's only because I'm signed in and I'm going to show you all the different features of USA Jobs. But if you didn't have a job or you didn't have an account and you weren't signed in, there would also be an option here to create an account. And it's very easy to create an account. All you need is an email and a password, and you will create your account. From there, once you create your account, it'll ask you to upload or create a resume, and once you do that, you can make your resume searchable, and you can also apply for any job within the federal government. Again, you don't need multiple accounts to apply for different branches of the government. All our government hiring is done within this website. So as you're navigating through this, if you find jobs that you're interested in, I'll show you how to search jobs and search jobs outside the Internal Revenue Service of what you may be qualified for. It's a very user-friendly website once you kind of learn how to navigate it. So I'm logged in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto my dashboard and show you a little bit about what your dashboard looks like. So you can see that I have 4 applications that are active. I put some in here just so that we could have something to talk about. I started applying for some jobs, and you can tell from here that they're reviewing some applications. You can tell that hiring is complete on this particular job. So any job that you start applying for is going to show up on this dashboard until you remove it or move it. So since hiring is complete on this particular one, if you click on it, it'll open another little box, and you can just archive these. You can review the full job announcement. So I'm just going to archive this one. So now I'll have only 3 applications, and I'll have that one that's archived. You can sort these jobs by job status, and let me move. There's different notifications that you can set up. You can click on that notification box, and as jobs are closing, you can get notifications that, hey, this job is closing, you started applying for it, do you want to finish your application? And it'll also show you your application status. You can see on this first one, you didn't submit your application. It also has the little tab for save jobs. So these are going to be any jobs that you save. You can save up to 25 jobs at a time, and as they close, if you applied for them or you're no longer interested in them, you can kind of move them around, and you can either archive them or just delete them. So you can see that this one's still accepting applications. And again, we'll go through how to search jobs and how to save jobs a little later on in the presentation. On top of saving jobs, you can also save searches. So what I did is I went in and created a search for the revenue agent position, and I set up weekly alerts. You can click on this, and it'll give you options on searching. Let's say you want to search it now. You can edit notification settings. You can let's say now I really need a job and I really want to apply and I'm ready to apply. You can go all the way up to daily. Let's say that maybe you're kind of looking and you're still figuring out what you want to do within the government, and you only want to be updated monthly. You can be updated monthly for those jobs too. So it's all going to be based on your preferences. So this is home, and anytime you sign in, this is where it's going to take you. Then you will go to a profile. So from here, you're going to fill out all of your personal information. I wanted to highlight hiring paths. So depending on where you are in your education, obviously I'm a federal employee, so I included that. But if you're a veteran, I would definitely add as many groups as you're eligible for. Let's say you're a student and you're looking for some sort of student work, or maybe you're a recent grad. Click on anything that you think you would be qualified for, and those positions will be included in your searches. Another important aspect of filling out your profile is putting in your experience, whether it be federal service experience or any other type of service or work experience. Adding it in here, it will help if you make your profile searchable. It'll help the hiring folks in the different branches of government find you so that they can reach out to you if you qualify for their positions. Let me get rid of this. Turning on email notifications, that's also a useful task. So I don't have any of the email notifications on right now because I'm not really applying for jobs right now. But if I was applying for jobs, I would definitely, or if I was interested in moving from where I'm at currently, I would definitely start getting notifications of when new jobs are posted. So you can set it up where you can email me when a job I've applied for is going to close within the 3 days, based on when new postings are posted, you can go down the line of how you want your email notifications to work. And then from profile up here there's documents. This is where you're going to upload your different resumes. If you're going to build a resume, I would encourage you, if you're going to build one that is searchable, to build it in this resume builder that is within USA Jobs. It's very user friendly. There's instructions on how to do it, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Once you go in there, you're basically just filling in blank boxes and it's asking you for the information and I'll format it. So once that's done, you can make your resume searchable, and all you have to do to make it searchable is click this link and it'll tell you that it is searchable. This other tab is where you are going to upload all of the required documents. Some documents that are commonly asked for are transcripts, if you're a veteran, the DD 214, and sometimes they'll ask for, if you're qualifying based on, like, let's say a CPA license, they'll ask for licenses. So definitely go through some of the job applications of jobs or job announcements of jobs that you're interested in and see kind of what the common ground is of what they ask for, and upload the documents, because when you apply, it makes it really easy. All you have to do is, when you go to apply, is check the boxes of the documents within your profile, and it will upload those automatically into your application and send it up to the agency that you're applying for. And finally, the last tab here is preferences. And what this does is it'll help you with your job searches. So if you go in and you upload these preferences once you create your USA Jobs account, what it's going to do is, when you go out and you do job searches, it's going to help use this information to find jobs that fit what you're looking for. So you can go, are you willing to travel, down to relocating, any locations. Let's say that you're only looking in a particular city, you can even narrow it down to that, or you can narrow it down by state. Also, if you're looking for a permanent position, down to whether you're looking for a seasonal or summer. There's a lot of different options here, and just use this as an aid in helping you find a position that you're looking for right now. So that's kind of the USA Jobs profile once you set it up. Now I'm going to show you, anytime you want to get back to the USA Jobs homepage, all you have to do is click that USA Jobs site. And from here, I'm going to show you some tricks on how to actually search for jobs and find those positions that you're qualified for. So on this main page, when you go onto USA Jobs, if you scroll on down, you can explore hiring paths. Now, by exploring the hiring paths, you can find positions that are open to the public, all the way down to positions that are for special authorities. So let's say that I'm a student, I'm just graduated, and I want to find positions that are just open to the public. So from here, you click here, and again, there's all sorts of information that you can click on to help guide you through the application process. But here, let's say I'm interested in a job with the Internal Revenue Service. All you type in is Internal Revenue. Well, it's giving me Internal Revenue Service. And it's going to give me, there are 66 jobs that are currently open for the Internal Revenue Service that are open to the public. And from here, you can see that they're open to the public because it has this little icon. And for to see what each of these icons, if you look at the key over here, it shows you that this job is open to the public and it's open for career transition employees. So we can go down and see all the different jobs. And let's say I know that I'm not going to be qualified, let's say for a general tax attorney, and this is our search, and we want to kind of narrow this down a little bit. So we can actually go to series and see, okay, well, there's a security clerical assistant, there's an economist, there's some human resources stuff going on, but I'm majoring in accounting. So I want to limit my search to jobs that are related to accounting. So from there, you can just click on those toggle buttons and it'll come up with hopefully the 10 jobs or so available. Let's get rid of that one. Okay, and so from here, I can see that there is an internal revenue agent position that is currently open. This announcement will tell you that it's open from March 11th and it closes on March 21st. So that means that you need to apply by 9 p.m. on March 21st. There's multiple locations that we can choose from, and this is a GS-13 graded position, which means that it is a higher graded position. It's not an entry-level position, so it is going to ask for specialized experience. So if we want to save this job, we can save the job, and once that's saved, now that's going to be on my dashboard in my profile. Now, if we want to learn more about this job, you click on it, and by doing this, you can see there's an overview on the right-hand side. You can see that I've saved it. I can share it or I can print it, but there's also an overview here. It shows me the opening and closing dates. And again, these applications go to the East Coast, so they need to be in by midnight on 3/21, which our time is 9 p.m. So keep that in mind when you're applying for jobs. Although it says it needs to be in at midnight on 3/21, we're on a different time zone, so we have to get them in by 9 p.m. Common applicant mistake, waiting until the last minute and not getting their application in on time. And because if you don't get your application in on time, there isn't any second chances to get that application. The announcement is closed and there are no other ways to accept that application. So this just gives you a brief overview of what the job entails. You can tell it's permanent, it's full-time, and it's competitive. And on the left side, you will see exactly what the job posting is. So it will go through the duties, the requirements, the qualifications. You can see who it's open to. It's open to the public. So that basically means that anybody can apply who is a US citizen. It's also open to career transition and also military spouses. So going down, you can read a little bit about the job, what the duties are. There's certain conditions of employment, what the qualifications are. And if you read these qualifications, again, once you read them, you can see that this is a bachelor's degree, or it's a combination of a 4-year course study, or you can have your CPA or previously held a GS-12 position for at least 1 year. So you only need one of these, but you'll see, since this is a higher graded position, in addition to the basic requirements above, it says you need to qualify for this position. You must also have specialized experience. Not all of the revenue agent positions are like this, and unfortunately, we don't have any entry-level positions posted right now. We are going to have some posted in May and hopefully some in June, but I still wanted to go over actually a live, an actual open announcement so you can see exactly what they look like. So when you're applying for an entry-level position, to apply for the higher grades, you're going to need the specialized experience, but for the lower entry-level grades for like the GS5 and the GS7 positions, you aren't going to need that specialized experience. And it shows you what kind of education is qualified. And I wanted to go over, the main thing I wanted to go over in here are the vacancy questions. So there are the required documents. Make sure you attach your resume, proof of enrollment, or education, which is basically your transcripts, your CPA license if you have one, or any other professional license that you're using to qualify. If you are a veteran, make sure you include that DD 214. And if you're qualifying as a military spouse or some other hiring path, make sure you include that information. So under the how to apply, it's going to give you an option to preview the application questionnaire. For any position that you apply for in the government, if they have this option, click on this link, because what it's going to do is it breaks down your application step by step. So it'll start out by asking you the straightforward questions about veterans preference and other eligibilities that'll give you preference over other applicants that are applying to the position. You need to be really careful how you answer these questions because some are also conditions of employment. So for example, if you come down here and it says a U.S. citizen candidate, are you a U.S. citizen either by birth, naturalization, or national of the United States? If you accidentally put no on this question, or let's say you kind of click between yes and no and you're kind of going through the questions really quick, if you turn in your application and this says no, you are automatically disqualified and your application will not go any further. And there's not any way once you submit the application to change these answers. So I would print these questions, read them thoroughly, answer them on paper, go into the computer, answer them in the computer, and review them one more time before you submit your application, because you don't want to automatically be disqualified because of a mistake that you made in your application. So going down, here's your preferences. These are the locations that this particular position is hiring in. You have to select at least one and select up to 3. Again, only select locations where you're either within your commuting distance or you're willing to move to. Moving down, I wanted to highlight one question in particular. It is on the tax obligation. So for all IRS positions, you have to be up to date on your tax obligations. Again, if you're have an outstanding tax obligation or a balance due and you haven't made arrangements, or let's say you haven't filed your tax returns, make sure that you get that all squared away before you apply for the position, because again, that's going to be a disqualification. We at the IRS take tax compliance very seriously, and that includes for our employees and our applicants as well. Going down, there's several other questions that that are asked before we get down to the assessment questions, which are basically the qualifications. So make sure your answers to these coincide with what your resume says. So this is where when you're applying for the job, print out these questions, look at the qualifications, and make sure you tailor your resume to what this particular position is asking for. So it'll ask you the basic questions such as how are you qualifying? Do you have a bachelor's degree? Do you have a CPA? And the different ways that you can qualify. If you answer none of the above to this question, you're not qualified. So this is also a way for you to get through and figure out if you're qualified for a position, if the job posting is a little confusing to you. In addition, you have to have basic tax knowledge, and it tells you what kind of tax knowledge you need to have. And again, if you say, no, my background does not demonstrate it, you don't meet the basic qualifications. And lastly, you also have to have for this particular position at least 1 year of specialized experience. And if you have less than 1 year, you're automatically going to be disqualified for this position. And then so after these questions, it's going to go into more specific questions about what exactly the job entails. And reading what these vacancy questions are, it looks like they're looking for a revenue agent in large business and international that is going to be for pass-through entities, because all of these questions are geared around the pass-through entities. So you can kind of tell what the position is just based on these questions. And these are the questions. So the questions 4 on are just going to be questions based on what your experience is. Answering yes or no to some of these questions aren't automatically going to disqualify you. What's going to happen is they're just going to be the difference. If you answer yes to more questions than no, you're going to be more qualified than minimally qualified. So you don't have to be as worried to answer yes or no on these questions as the basic qualification questions. So once you fill out all of these vacancy questions, what our system does is it uses your answers to rate you as, let's say, superior qualified or minimally qualified or not qualified. And then from there, our qualified candidates get sent up to our selecting official to review the resumes and to schedule those interviews and start the selection process. So that is how to review a vacancy announcement. So going back to USA Jobs, I'm just going to go on real quick on I want to leave some time for questions. Student and recent graduates, this is a good resource for you to find different jobs that are available to recent graduates. You can search recent graduate jobs, and you can search federal occupations by major too. So if you want to search, let's see, you can search recent grad jobs. You can filter it out. You can see this is open to a lot different hiring paths, and you can sort it out by grade. If you, let's say you only want the Internal Revenue Service, you can go down and find pathway positions in the Internal Revenue Service, and it doesn't look like we have any open right now, but I know that we will. But just, you can use these search options to find different positions. I liked another good resource is if you come down here, there's an A to Z list of federal agencies. You can find all the different federal agencies. Another one is federal occupations by college major. So this is a good resource of if you're looking for, let's say you're an accounting major, these are the main occupational series that you can search for in USA Jobs that will apply, and your major will qualify you for that particular position. So as you can see, it's not limited. As accounting majors, you're not limited to the Internal Revenue Service. There are, as an internal revenue agent, there's other positions within the different branches of government that you can qualify for. Going down, if you're, let's say, a business major, you can also qualify based on your business administration. So this is a good resource if you don't quite know where you fit in yet, what your career looks like, but you're pretty certain, or you're interested in federal employment, come on to this USA Jobs website and do a little bit of searching around. Another really good resource is if you scroll all the way down the homepage, you can go to events. So IRS hosts actually quite a few events right now. But you can see that there's events from various different organizations or branches of the government. There's an in Kansas City, we're having an in-person direct hiring event, and it's hosted by us. But if you scroll down, you can see also the Federal Corrections Institution is having events. There's just various information sessions. One of the more interesting ones coming up, if let's say you're interested in a revenue agent or TCO position, on March 22nd, we do have an information session. All you have to do is make sure you have that USA Jobs account and click register, and you will get all the information. There's also one on March 23rd hosted by the IRS, and that is a virtual information session about federal resumes and application tips. Again, if you're interested in applying for a federal government job, that might be a useful resource for you to attend. Let's see, last thing I want to go over on this website before I turn it over to you for questions is explore opportunities. These are where the federal government has the most urgent hiring needs. There's a high demand on these areas of hiring, and there are critical positions that need to be filled. So that means that these positions might have a precedence to get filled, and they might move a little quicker if you're looking for a job sooner rather than later. You might be able to get pushed through. So whether you're in cybersecurity, science, or you're some sort of STEM, or you're wanting to do some sort of auditing, you can click on it and see that there's 77 jobs that are open. And when there's a closing date of 12/12, it means that it's kind of and it's so far ahead of time. The reason that is because it's called an open roster. Again, that means because the jobs, we have such a need to fill so many jobs, is that we leave it open. We leave an open roster open, and we pull them down every few weeks. We reach out to those candidates, and we're constantly doing interviews and constantly doing hiring. You'll see that when IRS announces positions, we do things a little different for most of our positions, since they aren't as urgent, that we will have a 2-week to a 1-month posting period before it closes, and from there most of our applications all at once will go to the employment office for to be reviewed. So yeah, if you're interested, go ahead and you can look at all the different positions that are here. Again, you can narrow your search down by branch of government or any sort of filters that are available. And so with that, those are the basics that you need to know to apply for a government job. And I wanted to leave, I'm sorry, I went a little over. I wanted to leave 15 minutes for questions. So with that, I will turn it over. Does anybody have any questions? Or you can put in a chat box if you don't want to unmute yourself. No shame in that.
I have a question. Do government jobs offer, I know a lot of companies offer bonuses for completing the CPA exam. Do you know if any government positions like from that website offer incentives like that?
We don't particularly offer a bonus for the CPA exam. What we do from a government agency is we do pay for CPA review courses. So for example, when I studied for my CPA review, IRS paid for my Becker, and they gave me time to go actually take the CPA exam. We don't give bonuses, but what it does is if you're applying for promotions, it gives you extra points. So it's definitely an incentive for you to go get it, because if you're applying for above journey level positions, sometimes they're very competitive. Those extra points will get you the interview versus somebody who doesn't have that license.
Makes sense. And can you choose between Becker or Wiley, or like any review course you'd like?
It all depends on the government contract at the particular time. This year we had it through a different company. It wasn't Becker, it wasn't Wiley. I did go online to see what it entailed, and it was actually a really highly regarded review course, but off the top of my head, I don't remember the name of it. When I did Becker, we had actually a tuition assistance program that paid for it so we could pick whichever one we wanted. That has since been rolled back. And because of budget issues, we don't have that option anymore. So we have to go through the government contracted one at the moment. That's not to say things aren't going to change in the future, but that's how it works right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, well, if there's no other
Yes,
questions.
Lily. We have Lily Jan Bellamy.
Yes, Jennifer, thank you so much. Quick question. Thank you so much for the presentation. I was trying to apply one of the positions on the website, and there I have an assessment questions composed of 22 questions. I looked at the questions. Some of the questions are like, I can answer like the question like in a different way. How can I answer the question for them not to disqualify me? Because I don't know exactly what they are looking, and there are some questions which can be answered twice, like in a different way.
Yeah, so with those types of questions, if you're reviewing it and you let's say you understand it a different way, you can click on the one that best describes your experience. And what happens from there is just make sure that your resume justifies your answer to that particular vacancy question, because obviously it's some of the questions are very pointed, and sometimes, like you said, you can answer yes, but there might be like a little bit of gray there. Just make sure that your resume your resume justifies how you answered it.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
All right. It looks like everybody's ready to go drink some green beer. No more questions?
Last call for questions. Okay, I'll hand it off to Isaac for our screenshot.
Sure. So everyone who can or who is comfortable doing so can turn on their camera for the screenshot. All right, great. I'll take the screenshot, or do a countdown and then take the screenshot. So 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thank you to everyone for attending today's meeting with the IRS. Thank you, Jennifer, for participating at one of our meetings.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and that concludes our meeting for today. So, thank you everyone for attending again.
Thank you, Jennifer.